in a very big way for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7 decades. And actually, so people, the medical people, the health industry, everybody is much more focused on calcium than, of course, magnesium. This is a problem, and because magnesium controls calcium in ages long past. So it could go back 1 million years, and you look at the diet of primitive man, and magnesium and calcium were taken in a 1-to-1 ratio. Because magnesium was so abundant in the diet originally, the body has no real way of storing up magnesium. It's very tightly controlled, the levels in the blood. It doesn't conserve magnesium. You can waste magnesium very quickly because the body has no mechanism really of conserving and retaining it. Today, most people, the rule of thumb is 2 parts calcium to 1 part magnesium. For me, think about medical treatment, is to reverse that, is to go more magnesium, or much more magnesium than calcium as far as going on a healing curve. Calcium is a problem for the body when there's not enough magnesium because it calcifies, it solidifies the body. The body cells, things become more rigid. The cell walls become more rigid. Magnesium is the balance. I mean, in people who are eating a lot of dairy in the modern civilization, another reason magnesium is so important, not only because it might be deficient, but because it's deficient in relationship to calcium. People are over-calcifying, and the magnesium is the antidote to that. When a person is very rigid, the magnesium comes in and relaxes. It's one of the reasons why it's a natural statin. It reduces blood pressure. It opens up the veins, the blood vessels. Everything opens with the magnesium, where the calcium is closing everything in excess calcium. So it's a very important point, a very important chapter of the book is the whole science of the magnesium versus calcium. I'm taking myself, a lot of magnesium, and I don't take any extra calcium. Now, I love my dairy, my milk, and coffee, and cheese, so I get plenty of calcium through my diet. I would never supplement with it.
And especially given the ratios, you're seeing so many products that are calcium enriched. And they're using it as a selling point. We've got this calcium, this is calcium added, and all that seems to actually be doing is exacerbating an imbalance.
And this is especially important for older people. Osteoporosis. Calcium is not the answer to osteoporosis. Magnesium is the key answer. It's the opposite of what people are thinking. And this is a crime. It's a shame. And it goes across the board with magnesium. As I say, I've been trying to impress, magnesium is important across the board. It's most medicines, pharmaceutical medicines, not only do they not work and they have all these side effects, one of the side effects of many medications is it, again, decreases magnesium levels. So, go back to pain relief, for instance. Magnesium is a great solution for migraine headaches. Mm-hmm. Migraine headaches is not only showing a sign of magnesium deficiency, but the magnesium itself, whether it be intravenous or through the transdermal, not only is addressed the deficiency, which of course takes time, but it has an immediate effect of, again, opening up the blood vessels, and is very effective. And this is not Dr. Circus saying this. This is the science of magnesium. In the research studies from laboratories around the world, they all basically confirm each other. I mean, it's a very well-researched mineral used as a medicine. It's been totally researched in many different clinical situations, and yet the public doesn't know about it.
Well, I recall not too long ago I sat on hold while calling the American Heart Association, and I'm hearing that, 500,000 women each year alone, I think, are dying of heart disease or something like that. And it would seem to me that anyone that is in that kind of situation, and we understand now that magnesium or magnesium deficiency plays a role in, for example, arrhythmia of the heart or the condition of the heart. It would seem that people who are in that situation might want to know that.
Yeah, well, this goes back to the calcium aspect also. The countries with the highest calcium to magnesium ratios, meaning high calcium and low magnesium levels in the soil and water, have the highest incidence of cardiovascular disease. So at the top of the list, for example, is Australia, where they have a very high calcium and low magnesium. And the opposite is Japan, which has a very low cardiac death rate. The magnesium intake is much higher than almost any place else in the world, primarily because they eat so much sea vegetables, seaweeds, spirulina and chlorella and things like that. So yes, it's each subject you bring up, and this is a very good example, just shows how fundamentally important it is, especially in societies like America, which is very high calcium intakes. Women are constantly exposed to taking more calcium because of the fear of osteoporosis. So actually, they're digging the graves of the women in the United States by promoting calcium. They're already getting a lot of calcium from their foods, from the dairy, calcium supplements. They're relatively deficient in magnesium, and it's a total setup for this wave of cardiovascular disease in women. And they make the women afraid, and they motivate them to take more calcium by making them afraid of the osteoporosis. Aging women are totally afraid of this. It's like the flu. I mean, the medical industrial complex and the government, to the FDA or CDC, they know exactly how to manipulate the public to sell the pharmaceuticals. They're constantly scaring the public with the flu to sell flu vaccines. Even though the flu vaccines have mercury in them, they promote that, and it's a sad story.
I found it interesting in your chapter on pain, you mentioned the natural impact that magnesium has in facilitating pain relief, and it does so by basically just doing what it alone was designed to do in the body. It takes a role and plays a role that only magnesium and nothing else can do. But you also mentioned, I'm going to mention acetaminophen, because I've heard the term before, and I know it's something. So I actually did a search to see, okay, what is acetaminophen and what does it do? And the basic gist of it was that it basically elevated the individual's pain threshold to the extent that whatever was going on that was causing the pain in the moment is not felt. I mean, that was it. It just makes you less able to feel pain for a while until you're now feeling more pain. And I found it fascinating. So I mean, we believe in our pain medications. We believe in the brand names, etc., that go along with all these various things, which are not designed and which really cannot solve the problem, whatever the actual problem is that we're having. And yet, here's something that only magnesium in this particular case was designed to sit in a specific position in the cell that actually blocks the flow of calcium and other substances, if you will, that result in us feeling pain. And I just find it interesting, is what it boils down to.
Well, magnesium is really the ideal pain solution or treatment, because it actually is addressing several levels. On the pure pain level, as far as treating the pain as a symptom, not the cause, magnesium is I don't want to get too technical here, but is a non-competitive antagonist for what they call the NMDA receptor site. And again, only through intravenous or transdermal treatments is going to really increase the magnesium what they call concentration gradient between the extracellular fluid and the cell membranes, causing a block in the NMDA receptor. So as you're describing, also it will actually block the transmission of pain signals.
I see. Yes.
But magnesium goes beyond that, because you actually going to be treating partly or completely the source of the pain, whether it be inflammation, cell wall rigidity, lack of energy production, lack of different enzymes. You're going to be treating below the symptom, below the pain, what is provoking the pain. So it's ideal. It's really ideal. There's nothing like it. There's just nothing that even comes close.
This is Adam Abraham again with Dr. Mark Serkis, author of Transdermal Magnesium Therapy, which is sure to become required reading in many households around the world. Mark, this is, as we've seen, that magnesium has a role in just about in really every phase of life. I think a lot of people will be interested in knowing in what way, if any, it might have, and what effect there might be, say, on issues of libido or potency in relative to sex.
That's an interesting question. I didn't put that out too much in the book. Again, one of the pioneers in this field, Dr. Norman Shealy, I called him and asked him about this when I first started using this about a year ago, and I called him after I got a report from a woman who actually accidentally, she was putting it all over her body, accidentally got into her vagina, and she just reported that she basically was totally stimulated sexually, that she became very sensitive, and I don't want to get into the description, but her sexual levels went way, way up. And I called Dr. Shealy, and he confirmed that, yes, this is a possible consequence to the magnesium. And in fact, originally, the people who, as I say, these pioneers, were actually marketing it as that. They had a particular blend of the magnesium, and the connotation was more for women than men. I have not, for myself, I can speak for myself, I have felt an overall strengthening effect in all aspects of my life, including sexually, but I would not promote it as a sexual tonic for men. As a broad general thing, yes, but it's not going to be like Viagra or anything like that. With women, from what what I've heard and the experiences, because the magnesium chloride is ideal for the oral cavities of the body. I use it as a mouthwash. I don't use fluoride-containing toothpaste. I use salt water, and I put the magnesium chloride in the salt water, and I rinse my mouth with that, because the plaque cannot form in an alkaline salt condition. So when you put it in the mouth, you can really it's such you can really feel the effect, the tonic effect of the magnesium on the cells. You can just feel it. The mucous membranes respond instantly to it. And I imagine it's the same thing with for women in the vagina. It has a direct topical stimulating effect on the cell physiology. It opens up the blood flow into the tissues, which of course will increase the sensitivity and levels of stimulation. So as a physiological thing, it seems like for women, it holds quite a bit of potential for that.
Well, on that hopeful note, I want to thank you, Mark, for spending this time with us.
No, my pleasure.
Mark's book is called Transdermal Magnesium Therapy. It's from Philos Books.